welcome to this live. If you happen to come online, just uh, let yourself be known where you are joining from. Also, your name, just say hello. Yeah, where are you joining from? I'll wait for a few minutes, then I will start. Today, I want to talk on the sense of getting rich again and on the ideas or the concepts that Wallace Wattles talks about in the book. Hello, I'll wait for a few minutes, maybe 2 minutes, and see if there is somebody joining. If you join, just let us know where you are joining from. Just say hi. I'll wait. I know we have different time zones, and most times when I'm doing these lives, I think some of you are sleeping because my time zone is Berlin time zone, and I happen to be doing most of the lives in the daytime, midday or so, which I think to some of you it is like, I think, I don't know, midnight. Yeah, hello, welcome. If you can say hi and where you are joining from. Otherwise, now the 2 minutes are over. I am going to start just by saying that Wallace Wattles, in the sense of getting rich, I know it is because of the camera. I know the book, like you see it like upside down, but there are different covers of this book. This one don't have Wattles photo, but this is the sense of getting rich. This book have changed my life. This book have changed my life. And that is why I am very motivated to speak about it, to speak about this wisdom that is in this book. When Wallace Wattles wrote this book, what he have said, it is that getting rich, there is a formula to get rich. There is a scientific formula to get rich. You don't happen to get rich just by mistake. It is a formula that rich people follow, and that's why they end up getting rich. And I will repeat because that is the concepts or the ideas or the principles that one have to align themselves with if they want this formula to work. That is how there are principles that you must align yourself with if you want to become rich using the scientific way or using the scientific formula. You must understand that creating wealth, creating wealth, hello Alex, hello, creating wealth, it is in two ways. You can use the competitive way or you can use the creation way. You can decide that you want to create wealth and you create wealth from the invisible substance or from the formless substance that Wallace Wattles talks about. Or you can create wealth through the competitive way that involves you taking from people, from other people. And the reason that you will want to create wealth, and many people create wealth by taking from other people, it is because they are in the mindset of there is not enough, that there is not enough money, there are not enough houses, there is not enough cars. So they're in this fear. So they believe and they think that their money can only come from other people. But that is a lie. That is a lack mindset. When God created the universe, He has enough, more than enough. In fact, He has an overflow for everyone. So you don't have to take anything from anyone. You don't have to use deceptive ways to get things from people. You don't have to use deceptive ideas. You don't have to steal from people. You can create your wealth. And that is what this book talks about. Many people don't understand it when he talks of a certain way. That is the certain way that you have to abide to. You have to understand that you are not taking wealth. You are not competing with anyone. You have to understand that your wealth or your money or whatever you want, you have to start understanding that you are responsible for the creation of that. I will explain how you create that, how you come to creating that, because that is one of the principles of working or using the certain way, which many people don't understand. But I have studied this book for 12 years and I have tried it and it works. So when you want to create that, number one, you have to understand that you don't have to steal from anyone. You don't have to force yourself. You don't have to manipulate anyone. Your wealth, you can create it from the invisible substance, the substance. And this substance, permeates, it penetrates, it is all over the universe. It is invisible and visible. Some of part of that substance have become physical. Those are the physical things you see. That is the physical. This message is really deep. And part of that substance, part of that formless substance or that spiritual formless substance have not manifested. It is yet to manifest to physical reality. And that is where you come in. That is where now you use that formless substance and you create what you want. How you do that? Now, that is the first principle. You go into your imagination, you use your thought, you see whatever you want exactly the way you want it, then you take the image of what you want, and through imagination, you impress that image on that substance, on that formless substance through your imagination, through that image. You know, when you think of something, let's say you think of, let's say, a cup like this. It is somebody who thought of it, or this glass, or whatever you call it. When you think of it, you think it of it over and over and over. You impress that on the formless substance. In the spiritual realm, that is what you are doing. You are impressing it, you are impressing it. And the more continuously you do it, the more continuously and persistently you do it, the more you are going to bring that, what you are thinking of, that image into the physical reality. That is how you form. Of course, there is something about your purpose or your intention, why you are doing it. But in simplicity, that is how you create using that certain way. That is a certain way you do it. You use your imagination. You see the image of what you want. Then you imprint it on the formless substance. And you do it over and over and over. You remind yourself over and over of the image. The more you are doing it, the more it is going to imprint. And with no time, it will come to a physical reality. In this book, Wallace talks of one of his students who used this. he said, okay, I will try and I will use this method. And he wanted a carpet in his room. He used to live in a room that was cold. He was poor, those days. And he decided that he want a carpet in his room. So he sat, he thought of the carpet that he want, he thought of that image, and he used the principle, thought of the image over and over and over. That is, he was impressing that image on the formless substance. And when he did that, in a few weeks, he got the carpet. Then he thought, okay, it is working. Then he thought of something else that he would want, furniture in his room. Then he did the same, he got the furniture. Then at last, he had like a new apartment, using that principle or using the principles that he talks about. So, the sense of getting rich, it is you understanding that number one, that there is no limitation. There is no limitation of money or of abundance or of wealth. There is more than enough. And then you taking the responsibility, conscious creating your own abundance. It is you now consciously creating your own abundance by using your imagination. And also now the second point, it is acting a certain way. It is you starting to act a certain way. He talks of a certain way. There is a certain way of thinking and there is a certain way of acting. Because when you have impressed whatever you want on that formless substance, there is a way now that you should start behaving. Number one, he says, if, for example, you are manifesting money or you are calling for money or you are creating money, let me use creating because he don't say manifesting. Manifesting, he said a few times, but he used creating. So if you are creating money, for example, the way now acting a certain way, don't go back to talking of poverty. Don't go back to looking of documentaries, movies of poverty, because the moment that you are doing that, you are like canceling the image that you have created of money, the money that you want. Don't don't argue, uh, about these principles, don't argue, don't think that it is not working, it is working. In fact, he says when you start to have doubt that it is working, you cast doubt as a sinful thing, like cast doubt away, cast doubt away, because it is working. Just know now, thinking in a certain way, just know that whatever you have impressed on that formless substance, it is coming. Just know that. Now that should be what you are thinking about, that it is coming. Be sure it is coming. Why are you sure it is coming? Because you have impressed it. Because it is already in creation. Don't doubt it. Don't argue it. In fact, he says, even don't involve. Even if you go to churches, to a church that talks about that you cannot create money, it is talking about poverty. Get yourself out of there. Don't listen to people who talk about like poverty. If you are creating money, you have to believe, you have to stay believing on this uh, method or on this scientific method. So, this book, he says it is for people who want to create money and who want to create wealth and who want to create riches. without going through many discussions, through many formulas. It is just a mathematical formula or a science that he is giving how you are going to create money, how you are going to create riches without really uh, going into complicated uh, uh, ways. You know, he says this is the simplest way that you can create. You believe it, you follow it, you try it for yourself. You see if it will work. I have said for me, it have worked and it continues to work. And anyway, if you need assistance on how to create using this scientific way, if you want to create money, I will say create because he don't say manifest. He say create. If you want to create using this way, uh, you can ask for my help or assistance if you like, if you like. And also something else I want to touch about. It is the belief of money. It is the belief of creating money. You have to start understanding that God wants you to be rich. Like it is the highest desire of God for you to have money, for you to have riches. It is the highest desire. He says about it. Why is it the highest desire of God for you to have money? It is the highest desire of God to have money because the more you can have more things, and the more that God can express Himself through you. So if you are denying yourself the blessing of money, he said, if you are yourself denying yourself because of beliefs, because of whatever you have heard or thought about money, you are denying the expressing of God in you. Because the more things you have and the more access you can have to life, the more God can express through you. The more that you can have, the more things you can have. For example, if you can have more than enough money that you take your children maybe to very good school, maybe to music lesson, maybe to lessons that will really transform their lives, you are enabling God to flow through them. You know, God is expressing them through you. A person who is not if you can be able like to travel to different countries, God is expressing Himself through you than somebody who is not having that experience. So the more money you have, the more godly it is. Even for God, the more sacred it is. In fact, the manifestation or the creation of money, not through competition, through creative way, it is the more you are allowing the sacred energy of God to express and to flow through you. The more you are giving the energy of God expression, the more you are becoming a sacred entity or a sacred vessel that God can flow and use. And that is the desire of God from the creation. The consciousness wants to express itself. The consciousness wants to expand itself. God wants to expand Himself through many things, through many people, through different ways. But if you are limiting yourself, especially with the experience of money, you are limiting the experiences that God can flow. You are limiting the ways that God can flow or can use you. So you having money, it is the godliest thing that you can have. It is the godliest experience that you can have. The more money that you can hold, the more you build like your capability, your potential, your container to hold more. The more you allow your energy to hold more abundances, the more finances, more money. The more you allow the experience, the divine energy, the flow of the sacred energy, the flow of the creative energy to flow through you, the more you're allowing the experience of expansion, the sacred experience of expansion of consciousness through you. So that is why you want money in your life. That is why you want more in your life. It is not a bad thing. You have heard of beliefs that you as a godly person, the less you have, the better. You have heard things that having money is the root of all evil. You have had different beliefs, or you have seen people who have money and they have certain because for me that was big, that belief was big. Seeing money, seeing people with money who are rude, who are not good, who are like exploiting people, and that when you have such kind of beliefs, it will hinder you from receiving financial blessings. Are you getting me? Are you getting me? Are you hearing me? I am telling you, the more you allow yourself to receive more money, the more you are going to allow the sacred experiences that God can have through you. The more you can be a vessel of light. So start thinking of creating more money using this certain way and start understanding that having more money, it is a blessing and it is something that God wants you to have. Okay, thank you for tuning in, and I see you in the next lives or the next videos. And remain blessed and remain prosperous. Bye. Bye.